Hello everyone, Ruby Retrograde Tahuente here, and today we are here for yet another side-by-side comparison. Yay! So, as you probably can tell by the thumbnail and that little indicator at the bottom corner of how long that video will take, let me tell you right away, sit tight, sit comfortably, have your blanket, have your throw, have a drink, have a snack, or your cleaning implement, or your earphones, if you're happen to be cleaning while watching this or listening to this, because yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna take a little bit. I'm gonna try to make it as quick as possible, but I am not guaranteeing that it's gonna be short, only because of the number of decks that will be compared side by side today. So enough rambling. What am I going to be talking about? Well, it's a deck, or decks in this case, that I've gotten recently. So last year, last year, like December, that they finally came around my way, partly because of the postal strikes, and then partly just because of the time it took for production, etc., etc., etc. What deck am I talking about? Well, here is the origin story. It all started with this deck here, called the Normal Tarot, which is published by the Publishing Goblin. I came across this deck in, I guess, 2020 or 2021, actually, maybe closer to that. And it was a very interesting deck, a unique deck, as you will see. And I got the gold version, as you can see, but later on, I had this want or feeling, pull, whatever you want to call it, to get the silver version. However, unfortunately for me, it was no longer in print and I couldn't find a copy. Now then, move along to 2023, when for whatever reason I started looking around to see if maybe there were some second hands. I learned that there was going to be another printing of the silver version, and I thought, yay! So perfect chance for me to get the silver version of it. And you'll see why, you know, I'll explain to why I wanted the silver version, because it kind of seems like a silly thing to want two of the same deck, like just because they're different colors, which I have done. Just check over here. I've done it with Fortuna Tarot, so I've done random things, but it is what it is. Okay, it is what it is. But so I went ahead and pledged for the silver version of the Normal Tarot, and then because of, like, I don't know, last minute bundles. And the thing is, with the Publishing Goblin, there were like little special hints and riddles and things like that, which made it that you could have like a second deck for less price, or a book, an extra book, or like all these other things. So that's how I ended up pretty much with 3 decks instead of just the silver version, because of, you know, temporary limited time. Oh, now instead of, I don't know, like $35, you'll be paying like 10 or 5 for the silver version. And yeah, okay, so that's what it was. So what is the Normal Tarot? First off, let me say right away, it is not tarot as in the classical historical way that we see it, meaning it is not 78 cards, majors and minors, the way that it is known. It has a major arcana, it has a minor arcana, but it is not built the same. This deck has actually 99 cards, so already you know that it's not going to be a normal tarot. So even though it's called Normal Tarot, and like I mentioned, it's published by the Publishing Goblin. Actually what I learned from the campaign that happened earlier, not in 2024, I guess 2023 at this point, when it actually started, is that it came in three versions technically, but there's really 4. So it all started back in 2019 from what I could gather, with the first edition, which is, and I do have it here, I will get it for you here, which is the Normal Tarot. So as you can see, the Normal Tarot one. The Normal Tarot one, it's all created, the system and all of that is by a character that, if you want to however you want to name it, called the Caretaker. They had a Tumblr and all that. I haven't checked in a bit, but I think last time I checked, they might have not been active on it in a long time, especially since I said Tumblr. So who's on Tumblr anymore? Not to be mean. And that deck is black and white. And let me remember who was the illustrator, because that is kind of the fun part of the normal tarot, is that so the Caretaker created the system. So it's all the same, basically. The artists are different. So the first one was illustrated by Amy Smith, and it was part of Inktober, and then the fil en aiguille rolling around came the normal tarot. Later on in 2020, from if I read the timeline correct, came normal tarot 2, which was basically the normal tarot 1, but this time there were 2 different versions. You could have the silver version or the gold version. I ended up picking up the gold version because basically these are the same artists, but what they did in the normal tarot 2 is that they darkened the blacks, and like they made a higher contrast basically, and made silver foil in the images. And for the gold version, they went with a totally different illustrator. And for the gold edition, who was it? Let me find real quick. It was illustrated by Samantha Dow. So there you go. And then this year in quotation, 2023-2024, came yet another version. So they did a reprinting of the first 3 and then tossed in a new one, the normal tarot 3 in this point case. And that one, as you can see by the images, totally different. So where here we had really, black and white silver, black and white gold, here is color. And for the color edition, we have a third illustrator, and the third illustrator, it is by Ezra Kimbell. I feel like saying Campbell, but it's Kimbell. And so that is color. I didn't come in wanting to get this one originally. I wanted to get this one, and then I ended up with the 3 because of these like surprise riddle, surprise discount, whatever else. So here I am now with all 4 versions of the normal tarot. Like I mentioned, the system is by the Caretaker, and the reason why there's different artists, and you'll see when we flip through the card, is each of the artists, instead of kind of basing their art on what the previous artist said, or maybe what the creator came up with, they decided to go by how each card were described. And how each card were described, it kind of worked their imagination, and then they came up with a card, or with the art for the card. So you'll see, except for this one, for these 2 here, each art will be different but similar, and that's kind of the fun part. So without further ado, what we're going to do, I'm going to pause so I can take off the wrapper, at least for these 3 here, and you can see the difference. This one, I got it, like I mentioned, I think in 2022 maybe. So here, this was, they're all India, we'll say that. So here, this was back in 2022, yes. So it's a very simple box, 2-piece, whereas for the more recent edition that we have here, the box is bigger. There's a little background information for them, and as you can see, it's all the same. So the normal tarot is a 99 card reimagined tarot deck designed by academic occultist the Caretaker, with seasons in place of suits and all new major arcana and jokers. The deck brings something new to your divination practice. For the first edition, illustrated by Amy Smith. Second edition was illustrated by Amy Smith still and silver foiled. And third edition by Ezra Kimbell, full color. So let me pause it real quick so I can open this up and we'll see the little difference in the similarities. Hold on. Alrighty, we're back. I realized while I was unwrapping these that I forgot to put the cards in my gold version back in order, so I had to do that real quick. But here we are now. As you can see, if we are going back to our sheeps, that is that an expression in English, going back to our sheep? In French, it's like revenir à nos moutons, if we're getting back on our subject, basically. Anyways, as you can see, for the side-by-side, the boxes are a little bit different, just in the sense that for the newest printing of 2023-2024, it is bigger than what I had gotten back like 2-3 years ago now. I did not get it directly from Kickstarter, from pledging on Kickstarter. It was after the campaign was done and all of that. And I think I might have gotten it from a print on demand that was on their website link, but I'm not too sure. So as you can see, in any case, here we have a nice shine. I do like the shine on this box, but it does mean that it has a high gloss. You can see everything here. I do appreciate that it's not as glossy, and handprints, fingerprints won't be as visible, but you will have the foil for each version depending on the one that you decide that you want to get. A little bit wider. If we look at it side by side, a little bit wider here, a little bit longer, but not that much. In terms of height, a smidge. So if you happen to have a past copy of this, maybe if you tend to be one that likes to have the same box, same look, it might bother you or not, but you know what, it doesn't matter. As you can tell, the difference here at the back, like I mentioned, instead of just having the made in China, we have now that it's from the Publishing Goblin, a nice little barcode, and also as well that I'm noticing $40 if you ever want to get a copy, and a little description of it. If we open the boxes of each one, a little bit more difficult because there's no cutout holes, like thumb holes, and it's also more, a lot more snuggier. It's the fit is more snug than in the version that I had a couple years ago. This one is like, I just have to go like this and it falls out really easily. And inside you can see that we have a little booklet of the deck. Oh, good thing I put it in the same way in each of them. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult, but I do appreciate that it's more snug. And what I do like that I'm noticing also right away is that in the little booklet for the newer version, they do put in credits to the artists for each of the editions. So that is pretty cool. But otherwise, if I look at it real quickly, as you can tell, the one that my current edition is well used. Less saturated on the black. Next to this one, it almost looks brown. So we have the same description. Let me see here. Yeah, minus the fact here that it was illustrated by Sam Doe, I'm sorry. So here it says, this booklet contains small descriptions of each card. For further explanations, consider purchasing the companion reading book, How to Normal Tarot, or ask CT, which is Caretaker online. That's the old version. Here, it does not mention that. Oh no, why are you stopping? There you go. The Caretaker intends for this deck to be read in small hands of cards, treated in some way like a poker hand. Matching suits carry important meanings. Knights do battle, and the ladies, queens, and mothers have the most weight. Be wary of using more than 13 cards in a reading. It muddies the water and the meaning equally. So already a nice little short to the point instruction. I do have the book that they are referencing here. We'll take a look at it afterwards. So if we take this off, oh, well, looks like I'm going to have to pause again, because as you can see, when you take it out of the box, it has a, what do you call it now? It is wrapped, plastic wrapped. Of course, mine is my copy. So there you go. Let's put all those boxes away. So again, please give me a little pause while I take off these foil, and we'll get back to more of the comparisons. And we are back. All right. So here are the 4 decks, removed of their boxes, removed of their plastic wrappers, and here we can see already at a glance the differences. And if you remember what I was saying at the beginning about like 10 or so minutes ago about each artist, different artists, their own interpretation of the card meanings, you can see it like it's in your face. So for the newer editions, the cards are printed on 350 GSM and they are glossy, as we can see here, glossy gloss. I do not remember what was the GSM. It might have been the same from back then, but it does also have a gloss on my old edition. You can see here the foil accent, the golden there. In terms of, you know, it's 350, but I find it still thin and kind of flexible. It's workable compared to my old one. I think it's about the same. It might also be a 350 GSM. But for whatever reason, while I was unwrapping it, it felt like one was maybe thicker than the other. And I think it might be slightly thicker from past printing edition. I seem to remember that they went with a different printer as well. Let's see if I can do a better comparison without spilling all the cards everywhere. Okay, let me try and put it side by side. Yes, it does look thicker. All right. Now you can see for the normal black and white, the only, I would say, decoration is a silver foil on the edges, shiny. For the normal tarot 2, we'll call silver. We also have silver on the edges, as well as silver accents on the cards. And I'll move these 2 cards. These 2 cards are extra cards. So actually, you know what? I think I'll move these 2 cards at the bottom of the deck, just so that at least we can start at the same card at the same time. Because those are kind of bonus extra cards. And then here for the gold, as you can see, of course, gold and gold, as I mentioned earlier. And then for the newest printing, I think now this one is called Normal Tarot 3. Yes, Normal Tarot 3, the full color edition. Full color. There are no any sort of foil accent whatsoever or anything like that. And the edges, they have decided to go with plain. Interesting, isn't it? I guess because my own guess, maybe because it's already full of color, so the attention can be more focused on the cards than all the extra stuff. In terms of back of the cards, they are similar. For one in silver, gold, and the third version have different. Personally, I guess because it's the first deck that I have in the series, so I do like that one, but I also like the design on this one. They are reversible for three of those decks. Number 3 here will not be, because of the sigil of the normal sigil or logo of the normal tarot, so it will not be reversible. But really, for this particular deck, there's no, well, for me, there's no reversible meaning, and I will have to double check the book real quick, but there's no reverse meaning really. So there's not really a need to physically reverse the cards, just because already with 99 cards, 101 cards, you already have quite a variety of different interpretations and yeah, the interpretation and then combinations to go about. So let me just move these around real quick. What I'm going to do is, I don't even think I can really zoom in just because of how many cards or how many decks I have on the table right now. The glossiness is making everything float. Let's see if I can try to zoom in as much as I can. And I will start the flip through. And I think at some point I'll take an example from either the little booklet or the guidebook. No, I'll do the little booklet that comes in the box, just so that you have an idea of the kind of prompts that each artist would have worked with to create the art. For sure, in the little booklet that comes in the box, as you can see, it's 2 pages. Technically, you have, well, yeah, 1, 2, 3 pages worth of information on the cards. 1 sentence compared to the actual guidebook. If you buy the guidebook that you can buy separately, it's more fleshed out. There you go. It's more fleshed out. That's the word. All right, so without further ado, let's start with the center. Already you can see, of course, these are the same artist and these are 2 different artists. We can see their different perspective, view, how they envisioned the card. Sorry, let me just move this here. The Morning Queen. And it's already easy to see, even between what we could call the original and just that second version where silver accents were added. Here the blacks are darker, the whites seem to be brighter, or they're just popping out more because of the black being darker. And here we have an example of how the silver accents, where they are for the card called the Empty Throne, and then compared here with the gold. I will say you can definitely see the gold pops a lot easier because it's gold on black as opposed to silver. And then the color. I do note that for the color version, the font is smaller. Probably, I can understand it's probably to give more place to the art and as well the border, but that is something to think about. If the color interests you, the font will be smaller. Next up, we have the Librarian. Here we have the silver accents on the glasses and the candle, and a little bit on the binding here. And the person is totally different here. I'll try not to make too many comments. I will do my best to do not too many comments because it is 100 some odd cards times 4. If I don't want this video to be 2 hours long, I'll try to keep my comments at a minimum. Here we have the Huntress. Okay, let me move. Sorry, I am moving my deck one last time, hopefully, because I think that the first version is getting a little bit cropped out of the pictures, and that does not help if we're trying to do a flip through in comparison, right? There we go. Here we have the Huntress. And now the Sorceress. Isn't the Sorceress looking cool? Okay. The Trader. All very similar, conveying the same message. And now we're going into another, oh, wait, hold on. This is different. We have the Masquerade, and here we're already in the books. Let me double check here. Just give me one moment to see where. Okay, so because we are the Masquerade, and this one seems to be on a different, what can we call it? Arcana, a different suit. I will move this suit along. Alrighty, we're back. So what happened basically is I had to go through the deck, and the cards were kind of in different orders, not even together, but throughout the cards, and I found other cards that were not in the order as stated in the little booklet. So when I don't know if it was just my deck of the first normal tarot, or if it was just an error when they were putting it together or not. So in case that it doesn't follow what you have in your little booklet, don't panic too much. Just go through each card, and it's probably slipped somewhere else in there. In any case, so here we have the Masquerade. Definitely feels more of a party here. This seems a little bit more of an intimate affair for this one. Like, it's a little bit darker, but we do see other people, but they don't seem to be as important than these two over here compared to over here. You know, it just seems like a large social affair and all of that. Now, next up, the Burning Garden. Somehow this feels more tragic to me. I don't know, I'm not sure why. Like, of course, something burning is tragic, but I don't know, more dramatic? Now we have the Lantern and the Well. Isn't it interesting? Again, this one I like a lot. This is my top one. For this one, it's a little, the setting or the background is a little bit darker. So here, now I see the well better. Okay, now we are moving on to the Ghost. This one feels a little bit scarier. And now to the observatory. Yes, Eyes on the Mountain, which kind of makes me smile. It's kind of this little silly little thing that kind of makes me smile, but there you go. Let's go here. Now we are on the suits of books, we'll call it. So there will be a certain amount of cards that are related to books. So here we have the Books of Flowers. And look how interesting the difference is between the first version, how it was first drawn and published, and then the second version when they decided to add more black and white and contrasts and shadows and things like that. And here, let me see where they put the silver. I see it on the book, but is it elsewhere? I think it's just the book. Definitely the foil is more subtle. Like it's there, but because I guess because it's black or white, it doesn't come out as much as over here. Next, we have the Book of Songs. The Book of War. Ooh, that Book of War is thick. Definitely thick in versions 1 and 2 silver compared to here. And then here in the color version, it seems more like the book is off to the side while they're planning something. Then the Book of the Lost. After that, we have the Book of Chaos. And out of all 4, here we can definitely see that little logo that we find on the cover a lot more prominent. Following that, we have the Book of Secrets. And now we have cards, oops, that are related. Oh, wait, no. Dang it. Why are they not following the same suit? All right, let's see. We'll go by what the booklet says. All right, it should be the Kings. Again, this is what happens when we have a first look live in quotation. Things like this happen. They are sometimes in different order. So again, let us fix this. All right, we're back. Sorry again about that. I decided to show the Kings first because although in my first copy, my gold copy, the moons come up first. If you buy the more recent copy, the Kings will be the next in line according to the little fold-out booklet. So I decided to go by what the newer version offers as opposed to from back a couple years ago. So now we have the Kings, and I think while I'm here, I'll show an example of the prompts or meanings, and you know, you can see what they had as an example of text that they had to go by to draw from. So what they had to go and draw. And I guess it's kind of, I probably shouldn't have taken the Suicide King. Maybe, you know what? To be a little less, see, that's the thing about the Kings. All the Kings are dramatic, and you will see. So maybe it, and after that it goes to the moons. I probably should have done the books first. So I'm sorry for using the Kings as an example, because they're all yeah, they're all dramatic. You will see that. Let me see. Or maybe, you know what, I'll take the least dramatic of them. So we'll get to it here. So this is the Suicide King, and then we will go on to the Drowned King. Truly, the Kings the Kings are not well they're not good things are happening to the Kings in that deck. I will say that right away. Now we have the Charred King. And here I will read for the Lost King. And how interesting, I'm just noticing that the position of the Lost King is very similar to that of the Charred King. So I'll just read you, for example. So this is the text that each artist would have had for their inspiration. The Lost King. A figure who now lies forgotten and destitute, All that's left are bones, and even they cannot tell the story of his demise. What is left of the lost king clutches something in his hands. It is unclear what this object is. The lost king is the tragedy of the unknown, the worry that comes from not knowing what happened to someone, the anxiety of someone simply walking out of your life and never returning. Tragedy can take everything from you, even the satisfaction of an ending. Drawing this card can mean finally reconnecting with one you thought was lost. Know that nobody goes missing and comes back the same. Tragedy takes its price. Now, whether they had all three of these paragraphs or just the first one that I read about the description of the card, I don't know, I'm not sure, but this is an example. And again, I should have thought about this earlier rather than the poor kings, where truly, and here we have the frozen king. Again, like, it's the ends for the kings are, eek. Oh, the courteous, I forgot about the courteous king. I should have read for the courteous king. So at least there is that. There's one, you know, happier outcome for a king. Because after the courteous king, we go straight to betrayal. I'm sorry. I have to say, in terms of suits, or yes, we'll call it suit, the kings, when I draw a king, I'm like, oh my gosh, really? And even reading it in the guidebook, it's just, guys, come on, like, why is it the kings? And now on to the moon phases with the new moon. Personally, I think from the black and gold, the moons are the best out of all of them. My personal opinion, of course. Now let me see what they do for the new moon. Where did they put the silver? Let me see. I'll see it already. We have some handprint going on here. A few of the stars. I can see it in a little bit of the stars. Okay. Look, it's very subtle. All right. Now let's move on to the waxing crescent. I find interesting the hands holding the moon. There's like I wonder if there's a person in each of the moon phases. First quarter. Are the hands getting closer here? Waxing gibbous. The full moon. Oh, isn't that full moon pretty? In the silver, it's a lot more detailed. You could see craters and whatever else, but this one, it feels luminous. It feels like it's actually capturing the light. However, it was drawn, like it feels like it's actually lighting up. And then here in the full moon, also that one is nice. It's a bit of that same effect that I'm seeing here. Now we are with the waning gibbous. The last quarter. We have a little bit of card sticking here. The moons here, they feel so imposing, almost like it's gonna crash to earth. The waning crescent. Oh no, the hands are from down, up, down, I mean. And oops. Now we are done with what we'll call the major arcanas, or